Okay, so for today's video, we're gonna be checking out some Andrew Tate. Hopefully, we don't get another strike or whatever, whatever the case may be. Um, the reason I want to check this out is because I saw that he's kind of, I guess, been on podcasts again or something like that. And I've seen this girl's channel before, just Pearly Things, and I believe this was like a 3-hour podcast, but she must have broken up into different little clips. And this one is called or titled Andrew Tate Destroys Feminists. So I'm sure there's going to be vulgarity in the language that he's using, and swearing and this and that. So keep that in mind. She usually has a panel of women, I think, on with him. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what is said. Maybe I disagree, maybe I agree. So let's get into it.
There has not been in the history of humanity, across any culture, any book, any story, any fable, there has never been across the history of humanity any respect put on the name of a promiscuous female ever. Ever. You name the biggest conquerors that you can possibly name from history. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, all of them. They all had 100 wives, bunch of children, Big G, conquered the world. Normal. That is.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's something to like brag about. He may have a point about that. Promiscuous females in history, maybe Helen of Troy or Joan of Arc, maybe, but Mary Magdalene, if you want to get biblical, I guess you could throw her in there. But there's always that saying, it's like a lock that can be opened up by many different keys is a bad lock, but a key that can open different many locks is a master key. I'm not saying that I believe that, but I guess if you kind of go down that pathway, yeah.
Normal evolutionary biology. That's how men are designed to be. There's never been a single female.
This is not my subscribe thing. But feel free to subscribe to her, but I guess we use the same one.
Female has been celebrated for her promiscuity ever in history. It's always been frowned upon and disgusting. So yes, we are completely and utterly different. Yes, it's different if a woman cheats on a man, and if a man is at a complete top level of his life and ticks every single box, and if he decides to be loyal, which some do, and I can be loyal, and I have been loyal, but there's also times in my life where I think, fuck it, I don't want to be, and get a new girlfriend every single day of the week. I can do that, and I can decide to do that. If a woman decides to do the same, purely because her value is high enough to attract so many males, because she's beautiful, for example, it is completely different. And I'm going to explain to you why it's completely different, so buckle up.
Okay. I mean, for sure, in terms of men and women, men that are seen to have had many women in their lives maybe are more experienced, well-rounded in that aspect. Maybe they've been with older women, maybe they've been with younger women, maybe they've been with different races, so maybe they're seen a little differently that way. Most men wouldn't like a woman with a high body count, as they say, or number. Now this is interesting because I think Tate just converted from Christianity to Islam, and in that video we saw with the middle ground, they were talking about how with the Quran and everything, one man could have 4 wives if he wanted, but one woman couldn't have 4 men. And that kind of, again, alludes to the whole lock and key thing in my mind. But we'll see, because he just says he's going to break it down. So let's see what he says.
It's different. It's different. It's different. Well, I'll tell you why.
You know what's funny? Sorry to pause again, but look.
So buckle up. It's different. It's different.
If you look at Brittany Renner's face here, it's hilarious because she was known for, well, she's been promoting her promiscuity online, and is now, I think she just came out with like an apology or something, saying like she kind of regrets just allowing her body to be used that way by all these men. but she was always going online promoting it, saying like, oh, if this is how you want to get a sugar daddy, or if this is how you want to trap a man, this is what you got to do. And now she's going on about how she regrets this, because I think she's only 30. But it's interesting to see her face when he's talking about this, when she herself has been this person.
It's different. Well, I'll tell you why. It is impossible for a female to be promiscuous on a long enough period of time without devaluing herself, because she is fucking people she shouldn't be fucking. There's no way she is sleeping with endless men, and all of them are either high-value men or treating her the way she should be treated. If you find a woman who slept with 50, 100 dudes, she's either fucking dudes which aren't at her level or haven't worked hard enough to try and get...
Okay, so this is pretty much along the lines that I was just saying, how most men don't want a woman with like that high number count. But again, I think this kind of boils down to how much you value sex or that kind of aspect within a relationship. If, say there wasn't something that mattered to me and I met somebody and they told me that they slept with 50 or say 30 guys or whatever, and I was like, cool. Or, a friend bragging about it, and I was just like, yeah, cool, good for you. Unless I think I view that number or that value, like if I put that same type of value on it, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
The pussy, she was just too drunk to realize he's a loser who plays video games, or she's fucking a top G who barely texts her back. So either way, she's fucking dudes she shouldn't be fucking, or a guy who's at the level who doesn't give her the right amount of attention. For a woman to find a guy who's truly on a level, who truly treats her the way she should be treated, that's once every couple years, if that. You ain't just gonna go out there fucking a new dude every week and say, yeah, he's worth pussy. Yeah, he treats me good enough to get my pussy. Da da da. And you know what's funny about the universe? It's actually beautiful about the universe because it's equal and opposite forces. When you devalue yourself, it's kind of like men can smell it on you. They can just look at a bitch and go.
I mean, yes, in a sense, I can see what he says. Like, I think if I were, say, still going to clubs or whatever, right? So let's use that for example. And I were to see a woman on the dance floor with tons of men circling around her, or her moving among the crowd from man to man to man, versus maybe I saw a woman at the bar just being quiet and chilling by herself, I could maybe see it that way. And yeah, I guess if you find out that a woman has a high body count, it could become a turnoff right away. And in regards to the whole Islam thing, it kind of reminds me how in that video I kind of noticed like a lot of the Judaism and Islam kind of parallel with some of their teachings in the Quran and the Torah. And it makes sense to me now why if you get married really young, married for marriage, and then you build up into love or, the relationship or whatever, the bond might be a little bit stronger because you know that you guys were each other's firsts. You don't have to worry about all that baggage and drama and trauma or whatever people want to call it these days. So it's interesting.
And that's the way it works. So you have to be very careful as a female and sit and go, does this man truly deserve to fuck me? And if you think about it, the answer 99% of the time, especially if you're promiscuous, is no. So when a woman is sleeping around with all these men, she's devaluing herself. She's devaluing herself, and the world knows, God knows, the universe knows. When a man does it, he doesn't devalue himself at all. That's just the way it works.
Can I ask you a question?
Again, I think that depends on how much you value that aspect of somebody's life. If I was a woman, I personally wouldn't want to be with a man who slept with a lot of women. If he wasn't my first, then maybe I would hope that he slept with, I wouldn't say enough people to have experience, but, I wouldn't want him to be terrible. But the same thing with a woman, like, I don't know. That's tough to say. I think it depends on how much you really value that.
Wait, Esther, 1 second. Sir, may I ask you a question? What would you say if a woman now is married to 2 men?
Oh.
Haram.
Why?
Haram.
No, I'll tell you why. Let's talk about this. What is the difference between a man, let's say me, I have 4 wives, right? What's the difference between a man having 4 wives and a woman having 4 men?
Okay. This is exactly what we were just talking about. And they talked about this in the middle ground too. Like at least with the one man and the four wives, you could tell who the father is for each one of those kids because all those wives belong to that one man versus the one woman who has the four men. Um, you know, obviously one of those men would then be the father, but you wouldn't really know who, I guess, until you did maybe paternity test, or if it was a stink, like one man was Asian, one man was white, one man was black, one man was, and then the baby came out that way, then yeah.
Men.
You can impregnate the four wives at the same time.
You can impregnate the four wives at the same time, and we know who the parents are, right? So let's say you had 4 pregnancies, you know who the mother is because she's carrying the baby, and you know who the dad is, top G. If you had a woman with 4 men and she gets pregnant, who's the parents?
What about if...
No, I'm asking.
Okay,
do you know?
I ask, what if they're different races?
Answer
one white,
the
one black.
question.
You don't know.
Answer the question.
You don't know. Now, modern science can come along and maybe fix that for you, but that doesn't mean it's not wrong in the eyes of God. The idea of having a family, the idea of a child being born, one of the baselines for a new life to come onto this planet is for at least to understand who the 2 people who made it are, at least. If you have a woman fucking 4 dudes, you don't even know who got her pregnant.
So may I just say...
disgusting.
Wait,
Have you seen the twins that had 2 different dads?
Pearly really uses this thing a lot throughout her videos. Maybe I'm not doing it enough.
Oh yeah, I saw that. May I just say something then? So if that is the case, yeah, if the one thing that you're meant to have is you, at least you know who the 2 people that put that child on earth are, then that's why promiscuity for men is also a problem, because they get women pregnant. Sometimes they don't even know they have children. That's haram, no?
No, it's completely different. It's different because...
Well, I think that is haram, forbidden, or whatever, because at least in that middle ground we saw, a lot of them were saying, yes, a man is allowed to have up to 4 wives, but if he's not able to provide for each one of those wives or children equally, then it doesn't work and he's not allowed to. So just because you're a man and you have the ability to have 4 wives doesn't mean that you should, unless you're willing to, I guess, treat all of them the same or put in the same effort to all of them. And so I think it would be forbidden in that sense. But we'll see what he has to say.
You have to understand, I'm talking about humans. You look at humans from a societal perspective, but society has changed, right? So let's say 200-300 years ago, if a woman got pregnant, she needed a man to survive. If that man didn't take care of her during pregnancy, she was going to die. She couldn't work a job, she couldn't hunt, couldn't fish, whatever, right? A woman literally needed that man for survival. So if you were to come to me and say, I'm pregnant, but you've been fucked by 4 different dudes, I'd be like, who says it's mine? Why am I looking after you? None of them want to look after her. She will literally perish. This is why in most of the...
She would literally perish. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys get trapped into that whole, they have to take care of it because the woman says it's theirs, when she could have been messing around or whatnot. Maury got really popular off that, or Jerry Springer. I think it was Maury, actually, where it was like, you are not the father. They always did those paternity test shows. But yeah.
World today, still today, virginity is so coveted, and throughout all of history it's been so coveted, because that's the only way to ensure paternity. She's a virgin, I know that's my baby. She ain't a virgin, prove it's mine. Outside of this modern science bullshit, Shaitan, the devil we have here in the West, in most of the world today, without virginity, or at least a low body count, or at least anti-promiscuity, you can't tell that that's your baby. So it's a completely different thing. You're looking at the idea of a woman being pregnant and coming to a group of men and saying, one of you has to take care of me and put up with me when I'm fat and moody and annoying and I need my bills paid. And all the men are going to sit there and go, no, fuck no, prove it's mine. You can't prove it, bounce. Where it's different. If I get 4 women pregnant, we know the deal.
Yeah, I mean, again, he has a point there in terms of that specific a specific example, but again, maybe societally women still need men, but in terms of a relationship, maybe they could argue they don't, because outside of, like, if he's talking about 300 years ago, he's looking at it at a different mindset, as like, women, maybe your villages were always being pillaged and raped, or attacked and stuff like that, and you needed those men to defend you. Nowadays, sure, there are still break-ins, there's still robberies, there's still attacks, but I would say a lot less. And so, say a woman didn't have a man, it's not like she would need him fully in the normal context of it for safety, because probably 9 out of 10 times she's not really in danger. But I get what he's saying, but I can see the other side too.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So obviously back then for survival, women needed a man. Otherwise, when they were pregnant, could die and all of these things, they would perish.
Maybe I should just stop pausing it. Maybe I should just let them talk, because we're just repeating the same thing.
In today's society, given evolution, given the fact that as women we can
You
go
still
and
need
get.
men.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. Isn't there a glitch between what is actually happening and the nature of what we have in our bodies? I think that's probably the conflict that we're having right now.
Glitch in what way?
In the sense that women don't feel like they need men in the most physical sense, perhaps
that's
like
right.
naturally.
It's very interesting. Women don't feel like they need men in a physical sense because life is soft, but it's bullshit, and it's bullshit because you still need men by proxy. One, and two, the second life gets.
Yeah, but again, that's more the societal thing of what I'm talking about. Like, you know, you need men who are police officers, you need men who are firefighters, I don't know, mechanics. You need men like that. I'm sure there's women, female firefighters, female police women, female mechanics, but I'd say majority in those fields are men.
Difficult, you very quickly learn how much you need men. But women will go, I'm independent, I don't need no man because I have an OnlyFans and men pay my OnlyFans, and if anyone comes up to me, I'll call a male police officer. I don't need men. Shut up, you fucking idiot. Of course you do. You just named your whole life is based on fucking men. The road you're driving on was paved by a man. The house you're living in was built by a man. The car you're driving was designed by a man. Your whole life depends on men. And the second anything bad were to happen to you, the second you were physically threatened, or times were to get hard, or war were to start, or famine, or riots, the first thing you do is find a big strong man, shit yourself, and throw the feminism out the window. Feminism goes out the fucking window the second that the snow needs shoveling, or there's a fucking broken down car, or the tire needs changing. Then all that crap vanishes. It's garbage. And this is the actual.
I see what he's saying, but at the same time, again, that's very societally driven, and that's like post-apocalyptic kind of mentality. Like, yeah, if all shit hits the fan, men will revert to men things, women will revert to women like roles or whatever you want to call it. But I guess until that happens, it's not like. My other issue is he said it a few times. Times are soft. You're gonna need hard men or hard things. And I don't know if he's trying to relay that quote where it's like, hard times make strong men make good times make soft men, and then soft men make hard times. So it's a cyclical thing. And I guess if you're looking at society today, I would say a lot of the men are in that weak men situation, which is now phasing back into the hard times. And you see that a lot with all these articles that are coming out about how like men are at the loneliest that they've ever been, and the suicide rates, and just men who are online all the time and stuff like that. Like, there's no connection anymore, and it's becoming harder for men and women to kind of be like they once were. And I'm very in favor of that way, being like we once were,
A very interesting thing. I'll make a point here, which is going to get me canceled again, but I don't give a fuck. but this is the point. Feminism in and of itself can't be defended. The point of an idea is that it can be defended by the people who believe in it. This has been the whole point of war since the dawn of time. It doesn't matter if it was the Christians against the Hindus. It doesn't matter if it was the Germans against the French. There were people who had ideas and ideologies, and they're prepared to fight each other to defend their ideology. Feminism is an ideology which cannot be defended by feminists. The only people who could defend feminism are the men who subscribe to the garbage. If all the feminists were to get in a line and say, we want feminism, and the conservative men were to get in a line, you would learn very quickly it's bullshit.
Yeah, but see, then you're only looking at it at the aspect that an idea can only be defended with a physical consequence or physicality. I mean, I agree with him that a lot of feminists don't do a good job at defending feminism, because I've mentioned this before. There's a whole Bill Burr joke rant where he's talking about the WNBA, how men, we helped give the women their own league of their own, but it's still the men that are the ones that go watch the games, go buy the merchandise. Like, if you look at the stands, they're pretty much dead, and none of the women are there to watch women play basketball. Because again, I would say if you're taking, 100 out of 100, 100 men, 100 women, maybe 10 of those women, 20 max, are into sports. Whereas I'd probably say a good 90 to 95 of men are into sports. So, you have feminists that don't support it. And then you have the men who, like he said, are prescribed to that idea of it, coming in and defending it for them. But again, it shouldn't. When he's talking about a group of feminist women versus a group of conservative men, that sounds like a physical altercation. It shouldn't require that.
I had a friend in Afghanistan when Taliban kicked America out, and he told me the Americans were telling the girls they could go to school. So they built all these girls' schools, and they put the Afghanistani Defense Forces there, and they funded the Afghanistan Defense Forces to protect these schools. You had American satellites, you had night vision goggles. Taliban were afraid to attack. America leaves. Now you have Afghani Defense Forces. They're basically blind. They don't have satellites anymore. Don't have night vision, whatever. So now it's a real war. The men are standing next to this girls' school. The Taliban are coming. You're some dude. You're standing there, and you're looking at this girls' school going, I don't really give a fuck if girls go to school. Bounce. And you didn't fight.
Okay, before I say something, let me just play a little bit so I don't repeat what he says.
So that's why they all gave up and Taliban took over so quickly. And when I said this, the girls like, yeah, they should have fought for us, feminism. Why don't the women fight?
Can I ask?
Okay, well, man, she's popping another one of these subscribe things up. I'm really slacking on these, I guess. What I would say to that, let me just get off the screen of him.
Like the women.
There we go. What I would say to that is maybe those guys just didn't want to die. Maybe it had nothing to do with them defending a woman's school. They were just like, the Taliban's coming, let's get out of here. Who cares about the building? Or who cares about the school? I don't think it's like them caring specifically about the female school, but I think it's just maybe they didn't want to have to deal with that.
Can't defend their own fucking idea. You need men to defend feminism. So that's why the whole thing is stupid. So the second men don't defend it, it just fails as a fucking ideology. It's garbage.
May I tell you something now? So this is the thing. This is when we assume that women perhaps don't have the physical or even mental ability to go to a war. Wait. Because this is the thing. For example, in Ukraine, a lot of women took up arms. And in fact, I'm Angolan. I'm Angolan. I'm Angolan. And
don't lie.
Listen,
to the people at home.
Wait, no worries. I'll talk about my personal story.
Go to war? You
no,
fight
wait.
Let
me tell you something. This is the thing. I think it's also really.
I don't think that's true. Maybe some women decided to take up arms, but they were shoveling out women and children ASAP out of Ukraine as soon as the Russian war. Even the trans women, men who transitioned into women, they were forced to stay because they said all men have to defend the Ukraine. So, I mean, maybe some women stayed behind, but they were staying behind for other things. But I don't know if they were on the front lines. I can't speak to that directly, but I highly doubt it from what the footage I saw.
Like silly to assume that, for example, a woman, because she didn't go to school, she'll not be as intelligent as a man. Therefore, naturally, a woman is not intelligent. No, it doesn't make sense. If we're now starting to normalize equality and we want to put
I mean, again, sorry for pausing right away, but I don't even think that has anything to do with women and men. I think that's just in general. If you take like 5,000 people who went to school and 5,000 people who didn't go to school, you'll probably see a difference in terms of, testing and scoring and education and this. Yes, there's different types of smarts. There's street smarts, there's book smarts, there's, life, this and that. But if you're looking at like statistically, who would do better in a world, especially with testing and stuff? Yeah, obviously the people who are educated. So I don't think it's, if a woman doesn't have an education, I think it's just if a person doesn't have an education. But maybe she's talking about the women's schools. I don't know. But yeah, women not having schooling, I think, puts them definitely at a disadvantage. So women not having education does put them at a disadvantage. It has nothing to do with equality.
Everybody in the forefront, give a woman a
Who's
gun.
normalizing equality?
Well, that's what people are wanting. Then that's
People
the case.
like who?
Let me tell you,
Who
Auntie.
wants to normalize equality? People like who? Feminists. Who else
No,
wants to?
I want. Well, actually, no equality. I want respect. That's really
Yeah,
what
but
I
you
want.
Stopping you from getting respect.
Exactly.
No.
I get respect.
I
What's stopping
get
you from getting
respect. I get respect.
but
That's
you
what I
just
want.
said
That's
you
what I
want
like.
respect.
What I think is,
You don't even know what you want.
I'll tell you what I
You don't
want.
know what you want. You want
as a
equality?
woman,
The little back and forth between these two ladies.
I
you
carry
want
myself
respect.
differently. I actually hold the things that I have done in the fights that I fought. I hold it. That's why when you speak to me, I don't move different. I move different to many of the girls. That's why when you talk to me and you argue with me, I don't take
argue with
it.
you.
You do
tell
sometimes.
you.
And
I
I'll
don't
tell you
argue.
something. A lot of women may have the accolades to be somebody, but they are uncomfortable to own that. And the reason why, then I would like to ask you, for example, I do need a man, for example, to, procreate. But other than that, I'm quite strong. And I would find a way to protect myself differently. With that mentality, what would be the man that would be for me then?
Denava, what would you do if one of these security guards broke into your door?
What would I do? Okay, I'll tell you.
What would you do? What would
One-
you do?
Well, I think I don't know about her, but most people, I guess, in the States, I think this is in London or it's in Dubai, I don't know, but I think London. If you were in the States, you might have a gun. You could use that to defend yourself. But I think in Britain there is no gun. So that's a good question. What would you do?
There's no guns here.
She's a feminist.
I'll
She's a
tell you.
feminist.
No, I'm not a
She was
feminist.
shit and say take me.
I'm not a feminist. I'm a bit smarter.
Okay,
Either
okay,
I'd play
these
dead.
two guys.
One. Yeah.
Okay, they see you're not dead.
It's okay.
They
No,
see
I'd
you
be like
breathing.
this, and then if not, maybe I would kind of like be very gentle and comply to find a way to get out of
Okay,
it.
so
If
let's
they
make-
want to
but let's
come and
make an-
kill me,
but let's make an
there's not
important
much that
point.
many people
But
can
let's
do.
make an important point. You're talking about equality equaling respect. The way you get respect as a woman is by being feminine. There's nothing, we can be equal and very, very different. I'm not saying that there's not equality, but you've confused equality with the same. You can be equal with
Equity.
completely different things. You can have a bishop and a knight on a chessboard. They're equal in terms of points, but they do different things, right?
Very good point. Very good point. So I know Tate is a big chess player, but yes, that's a very, very good point. Men and women, I think that's a general basis. Like everyone should be treated equally. We should all respect one another, regardless if you're a man or a woman. But I wouldn't say that we are the same in terms of what men and women can do. However, I think that only really is a huge caveat when it comes to jobs or things that maybe require physicality, like sports or, physical things. Because, being a man or a woman, being a man doesn't make you better at math or better at science or better at engineering or better at this. But if you're in an army or in a physical job like, construction workers or firefighters, etc., like you do have an advantage in that aspect. But I think outside of the physical realm, most aspects, men and women are pretty much would be at a level playing field.
A woman can have equal respect to a man if she is very good at being a woman, and a man gets respect for being very good at being a man. When a woman decides she wants to act like a man or a man wants to act like a woman, that's where all gets fucked up. We try and pretend it's all the same. It's not the same. Men and women are good at different things. We have different strengths, different weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with accepting that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm a woman, I'm good at X, he's a man, he's good at Y.
Yeah.
Then we work together as a team, we have a beautiful family, we're happy forever. It's only confused where you have women who sit and go, no, because in the name of equality, we can fight in war. There's no fucking women on the front line in Ukraine. That is psyop bullshit. They put some chick there dancing around doing Pokemon dances to try and convince men to go.
And I've heard another guy talk about this. Here in Canada, we have a gentleman, I'm sure you all maybe know him, Jordan Peterson. He said this many times, like, why are women not bricklayers? Why are, women not plumbers? Why are women not construction workers? Like, sure, there are some, But if women want equality, why don't they go into those fields equally as much as men do? And it's because, you know, it's a little bit more labor intensive. Also, a lot more physical labor intensive jobs are looked down upon, right? Like if you had an option of picking a guy who does construction and a guy who works in the office, I'd say maybe 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times a woman would go for the guy who's in the office versus the guy who does construction. So, but that's what we're talking about now, because now this is kind of like the hard times, weak times, strong men thing. Now we have a lot of weak men in terms of that physical aspect, because we have a lot more office jobs, a lot more this and that, and we don't have men who have like the same knowledge as they always did to like build carpentry or build shelving or do electrical, do plumbing or do construction. Like the labor market is in such high demand for people who for trades and this and that now people who are going into those are getting paid pretty well because they're in high demand. And so it's a yin and a yang. It's a very much a balancing act, but
fucking die in a ditch. It's garbage. If you go to the front line of Ukraine right now, you do not see women in their makeup and their manicures. You see fucking men in the freezing cold dying. You know where the women are? Dubai, chilling. That's where the women are. So to sit and pretend that women are just as capable physically as men is a fucking lie. It's delusion. To say that you're as strong as men is delusion. You are good at other things. You're better than men at a lot of things, but it's not the physical world.
As many of you know, I was just banned on TikTok, and we are
that sucks, Pearl. Yeah, again, as I said, that's very much just the physical realm, though, if you want to look at it that way. Anyways, I enjoyed that video. As always, you guys let me know what you have to think about that one. I know it's a little bit different than the videos we normally do, and I apologize for all the swearing and the cussing and this and that, but you know, we're all adults here. These are words, things happen. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys.